All right, up next is also a panel discussion with the title of How Brands Can Thrive in 2024, Marketing Effectiveness in a Changing World. And for this session, I would like to welcome on stage as the moderator. He is the Managing Director of Kantar. Please give your round of applause, Mr. Suresh Subramanian. Welcome, sir. I also have the pleasure of inviting on stage as Communications Director Nestle Indonesia, Mr. Kellaway. Can we have a round of applause? You have a lot of fan base there, sir. And we'd like to invite as well as General Manager Global Business Solutions Southeast Asia TikTok, Mr. Matty Lin. Let's have a round of applause, everyone. And also joining us on this panel as Chief Operating Officer Media Services, Omnicom Media Group. Please put your hands together, Mr. Rohan Mahajan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your panel. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you. Selamat siang. So we are here to take on a very simple topic, marketing effectiveness, which usually takes almost another 3 days to tackle, if not more. And just to make it a bit more complicated, how do we do marketing effectiveness in a changing world? So we have 25 minutes to solve the world's problems, and we'll try and do that. Joining me is an esteemed set of panelists who I will delegate the task of solving this big problem. Let's start first by looking at the changing world. What is changing, right? Maybe I'll kick things off from a consumer lens and then kind of, move it on towards you. So there has been significant change in Indonesia in the last 7 to 8 years. I think COVID gave it a blip, but change was happening even before COVID. There are 3 changes that we've been tracking at Kantar. The first big change, and I think Ibu Ira referred to that in the morning, is a continued rise of the demanding consumer. The consumer is no longer easily pleased. They're becoming more and more demanding. The first demand, which started a few years back, was, what's in it for me? Size alone doesn't matter, so what's in it for me? Now you have another lens that's coming through, which is, what's new? So we're increasingly seeing consumers ask the question, not just what's in it for me, but what's new in what's in it for me. So that's the first big change, which poses big questions to marketers, especially the bigger brands. This is driven by a deep-rooted cultural shift that we've been tracking. So we just finished a very large study understanding small-town Indonesia. And the one big shift we are seeing is a rise in an attitude that we call the me in the we. So Indonesia has historically been a very we country. We are seeing a rise of people seeking their own identity, seeking progress, seeking almost a new ambition in a different way. And that's what we call the me in the we, which is kind of also creating the more demanding consumer. And the third big change we've been tracking is the continued kind of rise of many Indonesias. Indonesia is no longer homogeneous. Indonesia is definitely not Jakarta. In fact, Jakarta is getting left behind in many things. So it's time, I think even Ibu Ira was saying we should go and observe consumers. Maybe we should be doing that in Solo or not in Jakarta. So these are 3 big changes we're seeing from a consumer lens. Let me start with you, Guy. What changes are you seeing from, more from what consumers want from brands or from a marketing sense?
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. So I think just complementing what the implications are from a brand perspective. I think the biggest, it's not a change, but it's something that we're really having to reinforce to ourselves, which is resisting the temptation to change for the sake of change from your brand perspective and still hold on to what you stand for. So playing the long and the short at the same time becomes all the more critical. Fragmentation of budgets, I think, is very clear, and a big one that we're all trying to manage. When you've got so many different channels and places to spend money, making the choice of where does your brand fit the most, and importantly related to this panel, what drives your effectiveness the most, is important. And I think from that perspective, we're over the age of, particularly on digital, wanting to do everything. And now we're really starting as a industry to make specific choices where that investment is going to make the biggest difference.
Maybe one of the kind of platforms that's been accelerating this change somewhat, I would argue, and creating this demanding consumer is TikTok. So from your view, Matt, how do you see, what are the kind of big changes, and there have been quite a few in your world?
First of all, I'm very excited to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces and also brands and agency partners. First of all, I want to thank you for your trust and partnership throughout 2023. Just to add on what you and the guy mentioned, right? If I would describe the past year, 2023, I think two words likely are going to be in people's mind. One is uncertainty. The other likely can be volatile, right? So we have seen still very high interest rate, increasing cost of living. The geopolitical tensions still exist across different parts of the world, right? And Guy mentions that all the consumers are still living in a very much distracted and fragmented media world, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean for platform? What does that mean for the brands and all the agencies? We have seen three trends specifically. First one, all the agencies, all the brand partners, they are hyper focusing on ROI, hyper focusing on the efficiency and the effectiveness, how they invest. Like the panel discussion just before us, it's about how we can achieve more with less, right? That's trend number one. If everyone recall the golden diagram, media and the marketing is about delivering the right content to the right audience with in the right time. Today, we need to add another parameter within the right budget. So that's on top of mind for all the agencies, for all the brand partners we have seen, right? Second trend is the advancement of all the technological change and development, including AI, including machine learnings. And a lot of us in this room probably heard a lot of those kind of discussions in the morning. So there's opportunity for us to be in the driver's seat, to really leverage those technology to drive creativity at scale, to drive content at scale, to drive measurement at scale. So that's another opportunity we're seeing very strongly across the board. All right. Thirdly, because today's consumers, we're living in a very much fragmented world. Everyone here, given more choice, given more devices, given more medium, given more content to watch, to listen, to hear, to share, it's harder, it's more challenging for the brands to really grab consumers' attention. So it's critical for the brands to show up in an authentic and also in empathetic way, so they can build a really kind of meaningful engagement and to drive the impact.
Thanks, Matty. So now both of these people are making your life difficult.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to come to that.
So what's happening in your world? So how, from a change perspective, and how do you deal with this change?
So we are, stuck in the middle of them, where platforms say we have so-and-so placements, and we are coming up with more placements and options. And brands, like Guy mentioned, there's just too many options for them to even spend their budgets. So our job becomes more and more difficult in the world where, just previous to this conversation, we were listening about new KPI, attention as the new economy, which is another metrics that is coming in. So I think we kind of fall in a place where we are required to justify every media spends that we are doing today, and in the past 2 years for sure, which was very performance-centric conversations, very performance-driven. So we were expected like, you've spent X amount of dollars, what is the ROI? You've spent Y number of budgets, what's the KPI that I can measure out of it? So that became way more, way multiplied the number of conversations that we were getting into. And there was a time where we all didn't talk about brand at all. We just focused on sales, and we were focused on, with this year, I would say, coming in, another complexity comes in, which is we've all been hearing that word, AI. Every platform says we are more automated. Everyone is saying we are doing bulk of activities on generative AI. So how does brands latch into that from an agency lens? There's another question mark that comes in from media. How would you expect a brand to maybe experiment, maybe do a one-off, or maybe do a always-on? So again, these are things I would say it's going, the conversations are multipliers these days. So I think those are the complexity that from an agency lens we've seen focused. And again, we are driving those conversations. So hopefully we'll see more clarity as we go ahead.
So I think hopefully we can build an AI that after these kind of big meetings, it'll help solve our problems. And until that day, I think we'll have to figure them out. So let's come to the topic which you talked about, right? So in the quest for change and new and different, are we kind of moving more away from marketing effectiveness to more marketing efficiency? So what does marketing effectiveness mean given all this change? How would you define it, since you kind of set the benchmarks for,
Yeah, I would say the big difference between effectiveness and you can be very efficient, but it can have absolutely no effect on whatever you're trying to achieve per se. So I think it's becoming, if not already, the #1 objective of marketers, and definitely for me and the team, of ensuring that every dollar that you are spending is effective. But it has to be underpinned by very, very focused and clear objective of really what are you trying to do. Typically in marketing, we're very good at asking to have everything. Yes, I want everything from here to here, and I'll give you 1,000 minus $999 to do it. So the difference really then is of how to thrive is going from being efficient to being effective. And it's not also just a quantitative discussion, it's also a qualitative discussion. And I think from a brand perspective, we have to take also some responsibility for understanding the data. Everyone will give us data. So it's our responsibility to understand it better because it's our brand and it's our money that is being invested in, yeah, and having the result that we want it to have.
So, and how do you, from a platform perspective, how do you go about kind of telling marketers that this is the wrong thing to do or this is the right thing to do? How do you get the conversation around, more focused effectiveness rather than just an efficiency discussion?
No, this is definitely a kind of billion-dollar question in my view. So from platform perspective, right, how to define and measure marketing effectiveness, in our opinion, requires a holistic understanding, holistic strategy, and holistic approach. What I mean, in the past few years, we have seen a trend, tendency to a shortism, meaning people tend to only look at performance metrics, whether be it clicks, to lead gen, to sales, but do we believe it's critical and even more critical than ever to have a both short-term and a long-term view, to really be able to strike a balance, right? From our perspective, we call it brand performance. What do we mean by that, right? Brand and the performance, they are two sides of the same coin. In our opinion, brand is in service of performance. That's number one. And the second, in addition to hyper-reaching, targeting, driving sales among today's consumers, it's equally important for the brands to also be able to drive and cultivate the new generation of the audience, of the consumers, and the new demand for the future. Not just a consumer for today, but also new demand for the future. So we call it, how you can drive both finite demand and how you can drive the future demand, right? And obviously, we have run a lot of meta studies at TikTok. What do we found? What we found is when brands run full funnel marketing campaigns, they outperform. They outperform those clients only run performance campaign, right? On average, we have seen 2x stronger conversion, 36% stronger CPI, and 33% stronger conversion rate, right? So that's kind of the day-to-day conversations we advise. We work very closely with agencies and with other brands.
Very interesting. I think especially the full funnel, because we tend to now divide but not necessarily conquer. So having a full view is really important. So Rohan, do you get, out of your 10 briefs, how many of them are efficiency briefs, how many of them are effectiveness briefs?
Tough question. So
how do you look at, pushing back marketers towards effectiveness?
I think the good part of platforms these days is they've automated bulk of the BLS. So what it does is BLS has become a norm. It's like no longer a measurement that we look after maybe 2 out of 10 campaigns, but now we look after 7 out of 10 campaigns which have BLS in it. So from a media lens, as an agency person, job is a little easier, where we say, hey, 7 out of your 10 campaigns are getting measured from a third party, which is not just a platform, but a validator of media being spent. And beyond that, the effective briefs that come in, which is don't want to call it out here, but we get 2 out of 8, 2 out of 10, and then we just focused 360-day campaign that Matty just talked about, where we are able to measure more than just a BLS, maybe an effectiveness study, or even goes back into MMMs, which takes us more than a year to come around. So I think those conversations, they are less than what we would expect, but they're definitely there, and we usually use effective studies as a measurement index.
I think we just had our first efficiency bell, so I'll move quicker. So I just want to open this out to the panel. What do you think is the role of creativity and entertainment in all of this? What's the difference between an ad and somebody was saying in the morning session, a content or a video? Have the boundaries blurred, or are they?
Yeah, 2 things really quickly. So we should not disassociate creativity from effectiveness and efficiency, number 1. Second one, most importantly, is creativity is the superpower of a brand. Consumers fall in love with content. They don't fall in love with the data that's on your media plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to quickly add on Guy's point, right? 2023 was kind of the first year, for all the consumers enter kind of post-COVID world. From what we see from platform perspective, we should not underestimate the power of entertainment, because today consumers' life still evolve and revolve around all the different entertainment platforms, right? According to, I believe, Data AI, so across globe, consumers spend about 20 billion hours watching all the entertaining content, watching all the short-form videos, and they spend 4 billion around social network, right? So people spend more time around entertaining content, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, we do believe entertainment or entertaining content is a main driver and also the main kind of beneficiary of a phenomenon we called bubble up phenomenon, where culture today is actually shaped and also disseminated by creators by communities, right? And from marketing and the business perspective, we have also seen entertaining content outperform your regular messaging, right? What I mean by that, because by leveraging entertaining content, brands are able to connect with consumers beyond the functional value. They're able to connect with the consumers in a much deeper and emotional level, so they can drive bigger impact, right? And that's just some of the stats, some of the analysis we have run from platform perspective. We saw entertaining content drive 15% more, for example, 15% more about the brand affinity, 14% more about purchase intent, 15% more about, more likely to recommend. So there's an opportunity for all the brands and the agencies to leverage the entertaining content to achieve that.
Right. It looks like our time's out. We can keep talking about this for, until the cows come home. Thank you all for listening. I know we couldn't provide answers, but I hope we have provided questions that help you frame the problem. And thank you, all of you, for enlightening discussion.
Thank you very much, panels. We'd like to invite you to take pictures, our official photo of this amazing talk. And of course, like mentioned by Mr. Suresh, let's keep the conversation going. And of course, this is exactly what these platforms are about. We hope that you also get the chance to reach out and just connect with your peers, maybe get some ideas going and some work. And can we have a round of applause once again for all of our panels? Thank you very much.